Hi, I'm Claire. I'm Senior Partner at Proclinical Executive Search. Proclinical are one of the biggest global search firms in life sciences. I'm honored to be joined here today by Mini Suri. Mini is the CEO and co-founder of Velmeni. She's a brilliant contributor to the tech industry, is an innovative trailblazer in AI, ML, NLP, automation, and an advocate for the betterment of others. Mini's deep experience and creative inspiration have led Velmeni to the forefront of AI healthcare through predictive and analytical artificial intelligence in dentistry. Velmeni's platform is evolving as a standard bearer for dental practices. Mini has acted as Chief Customer Officer at Core AI, Head of IA for Uber, and Senior Vice President at Citi. With an MBA from MIT's Sloan School, she provides Velmeni with deep tech strategy, financial skills, and hands-on operational management. A doer and problem solver, Mini leads product development, raises capital, fosters high-performance culture, and is building the most talented team in the industry. As a board member at Thai Silicon Valley and throughout her career, Mini has brought big picture thinking to foster technology entrepreneurship, youth engagement, and women's leadership initiatives, including the Hunger Project to eradicate world hunger and establish women as a force for change making. This includes establishing the first robotics and STEM education for girls. Mini, thanks for joining me for International Women's Day. I know many women will very much appreciate you taking the time to share your experience and expertise with us.
Thank you, Claire, for having me. I must say International Women's Day always holds a big pleasure for me because I am a big component or big opponent for women and women leadership. So really excited to spend this time with you and then talking about the challenges that we women face and how we have been a trailblazer and taken all these obstacles that come our way and sort of paved our way through that. So really excited to spend this next 30 minutes with you.
Wonderful. You've been an advocate for women during your entire career. And as a chair of women's leadership at Citi, you launched various women's empowerment programs. Were there any patterns you noticed, or what did you discover about the common challenges that women face in the workplace?
So when I was at Citi, or when I joined Citi, this I would say would be in 90s or late 90s. There were very few women in financial services, including myself. I was in engineering role, and I felt there was a dire need to have a strong women's support. And some of our senior leadership at Citi had started thinking about that, and they had formed something called Citi's Leadership Council. And I actually led a branch of that in one of our locations in New Jersey, and we termed it as Women of Warren. There was really a need for women's voice, a support system for women, and whereas we actually built a lot of workshops, leadership programs, and built a very strong network of women to help Women of Warren, which was part of the entire Citi's women's leadership team. But there were a lot of challenges that we noticed, and especially, like working or having a very less representation. Women came with their own challenges for most their family. That was a very misunderstood, when women wanted to take care of their family, it's not that they were taking time off. They would always compensate that, working before and after. We always felt women were very hardworking, very diligent workers. However, they had their needs to suffice. The other challenge that I faced when I worked very closely with women was they actually, they were not able to present themselves, especially at the review sessions. We used to have yearly review, mid-year reviews. They did a lot, but they were not able to present or articulate their work. And usually that would be overlooked. They were afraid to speak for themselves. There's always self-doubt. We want to be perfectionist. However, that was not what was required. So we really wanted to make sure that they understood how they could present themselves before before their reviews, before their senior leadership, and be able to take full credit of their work. So these were the things that we felt we could really build by bringing that confidence, helping them feel there was a support system. If they had any doubts, they could talk to the women around them. And then also be more aware of other team members around themselves. And often we also found that because women didn't speak, they were not they were not able to get the right kind of salaries or the pays or the compensation. They always lagged behind. So again, these were some of the challenges that we felt that we needed to help our women be able to surmount.
Thanks, Minnie. Okay, so learning how to balance family and work, learning how to present ourselves in the best possible light, taking credit for our work, and negotiating. They're all really great tips and good things for us to be aware of. What are some of the tools and techniques that women can use to overcome these challenges?
Some of the things that we told our women, or we educated them, is really build a strong network. Do not eat alone. It's always good to go and mingle and network and meet other folks. That was very important. Be yourself, make yourself be more aware, see what other teams are doing, um, uh, and the other important thing that we always emphasized was set clear goals and expectations with your management. So when the time comes for the review, you can measure these outcomes more objectively. Right? It doesn't. It should be very well articulated between both the sides. What your managers expected if you did all the five things, were you on the top level of rating, or if you just did three things, where would you rate? And it was a very clear conversation at that point. Uh, so be accountable for your action, behavior, performance, and decisions, because accountability is also linked to an increase in commitment to work and employees' morale, right? Which leads to very high performance. The other thing is we also explained them if they did not have very supportive management or managers, please, it's time to move on, because what we have seen is good managers who are at your back can either make you or break you. So there is if you feel that having that dialogue or conversation did not really help, then it's okay to move to another team, because we had really a lot of strong mobility programs in place. And the mobility can only help if you actually looked around, talked to the HR, understood what was going on. And that's where we wanted our women to be a lot more open about what was going around themselves. And that's why these women leadership programs, their aim was to get them connected to the ecosystem, so that women can actually leverage and then take advantage of that. And that is something that we find was really missing. And these were some of the tools and tips that we wanted to bring to them so that they could leverage, use them to their advantage. And we did see there was a huge difference. Once the women looked around and they saw other women in the same boat and doing something, it really encouraged, motivated them. And I've taken a lot of challenges myself where I used to mentor women, especially when they would be going through tough challenges. My doors were always open, so that I could talk to them or lead them or help them in any which way, so that these women could really be to shine in whatever they were doing.
Thanks, Minnie. That's really helpful. I love what you said about never eat alone. That's really important to create that network and that support. And then I know it's easy to operate in the gray area, so having the clear goals and expectations, and even setting those yourself and presenting them to your manager sounds like a great idea. In 2018, you joined Uber as the head of Center of Excellence for Intelligent Automation. After 21 years at Citi, I imagine this was a big move. Why did you choose to join Uber, and what was the key criteria you were looking for in a new role or company?
That's a great question, Claire. And I'll tell you, this confidence I got, and I must say, is because of my MBA at MIT. MIT makes you very unsettled, and that was good. It made me question whether I was really learning something outside. Did I really, am I challenging myself enough? So when Uber came by, it was a very brave decision. We were very well settled with my family, with my husband in New Jersey. And I had never ever thought that things could shake up that much. But I had to make my decisions in a matter of days. And hold behold, my husband was traveling. In spite of that, I had to make my decision. And I knew if I did it this time, I could get and challenge myself or do something that I had never done in my past 21 years, or I would stick to what I was doing. So I took the challenge, and I'm glad I took the challenge because City gave me a lot of learning. I must say it was an academia for me. I felt that was my world, and it was truly. I sat in a very good organization where all the technologies were at our footstep. However, what Uber gave me was really the punch. It actually, I was completely in a very traditional 100-year-old bank, and now I was in a startup with very young talent. And it was the gift of taste, of speed and agility and go to market activities, total different culture. Uh, and 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 basically, I learned quite a bit from Uber's culture. However, I was able to provide a lot of my experience that apply from a very matured organization to build very scalable, secured products and platforms. So the things, it was a very good learning that I got from me and what I learned at Uber. And I must say that just that just challenging yourself and never settling into that role of what you've been doing was phenomenal. And I do recommend, I took 20 years or 21 years to make that move, but I do recommend women to really take that bold move because it's not that scary. We are very smart. We get used to it. Yes, for first few years were extremely hard. You really have to reinvent. But if you don't reinvent, you do not you do not progress. So for me, that challenge, after that there was no looking back because I knew I could take next level of challenges, as it would come, because you're not always prepared for anything, but you know your strengths and you also know your weaknesses. And as long as you're strong enough, you can reinvent. You are willing to learn. I think it only helps you grow. It only helps you to stretch. So that's what they say, right? The elastic band, when stretched, does not come back to its own position. Same thing, it happens to you as a human brain. Once you're stretched, you don't come back to what you are. And this East Coast to West Coast journey was something which I think was phenomenal for me.
Well, yeah, congratulations on, preparing yourself with MIT, having the courage to take the leap, and, extending the metaphor, you leaped and the net appeared, it sounds like, with Uber. You also saw Uber through their highly publicized IPO. Do you have any advice for people who want to get IPO experience? What skills should they highlight during an interview, or what can they do in the meantime to gain these skills?
Um, I have to tell you, IPO is a tremendous experience. It's when the entire company comes together. And it is a dream that is in the making on day one when you start a company. And it takes years of toil and hard work. It's not just one, the entire different teams working together. So for me, that was a moment that I will always remember. It was it was that day when we all cried with joy and we hugged each other because it was something incredible. I cannot even explain in my words that how beautiful that moment was. However, I would say that if you really need to be part of an IPO, obviously you need to do a research on which kind of companies that you want to be. There are all kinds of and all sizes of companies, right, that you see, and especially IPOs are happening a lot more faster in what we've seen in recent years. So if you think of high growth companies that have really good focus and have a fast growth trajectory, maybe that's the company that you want to look at. And then and the thing is, not every company is taking as an IPO. They either get acquired. There are different kinds of IPOs, SPACs coming out too. So it all depends on if you really want to be in an IPO trajectory, then you need to know if this company is where you want to be. Look, when you're thinking of a company like that, then be ready because a company going towards an IPO is super focused in achieving their goals because obviously there's a fun to get to an IPO, but post IPO is another set of challenges that the company faces. So again, it's something that I would suggest you guys to do your research. If that's the path that you want to take, is obviously and I would and I what I would suggest is there is a lot more opportunity nowadays to look into those kind of companies who are like a year away into IPO because it takes especially when you're nearing the IPO, it takes a lot of prep work before a company is ready to go into IPO. And that's a fun time too, because you sort of like super organize yourself. You want to make sure all your things are in much more organized way. It's not just like a startup going in all different directions, but I think it's a great learning. So that's where I would say it's a journey. But obviously do your research because there's a lot of opportunities nowadays.
Okay, thanks, Mini. So yeah, be prepared, do our research. Okay, good to know. And then you're a board member at Thai Silicon Valley. Many women I speak to are looking for their first board position. What advice do you have for them? Is there anything they can be doing to prepare, certain types of people they should reach out to, or how to really present their experience in a way that says they'd make a good board member?
So Thai Silicon Valley was literally love at first sight for me. I knew that was my calling. I always wanted to do something for entrepreneurs, as well as this community added that launch pad for me. And also, I got a chance to meet some brilliant and dedicated minds. Thai Silicon Valley is a 30-year-old organization. Started when the representation for Indian community obviously was very slim, especially in the Silicon Valley. But it's different now. However, our charter is to really promote women, youth, and entrepreneurs in any which way we can help them and shape them their journey. So what I've seen, Thai Silicon Valley is one of the boards that I have, and I'm in other non-for-profit boards. However, I would say it's very important that you understand what motivates you. Because if your heart is in, you will do a good work. You will add value. It's not just adding or being on a board, it's the board that you can make a difference. You need to really identify your proposition. You need to know what is the need for that particular board position that you're looking for. The most important is to write your board CV. You should be able to articulate so well because when you're applying for a board position, you need to be talking about who you are and how you think you can fit into the board and be in control of the activity or the part of the responsibility. Because once you're in the board, you come with responsibility. You've got to be working for the board to help take the board achieve its goals. And then I would say the most important thing to get into the good boards is obviously networking. networking, networking, networking. Most of the board members or board positions do get filled by people who are known to the prior board members, because it's very important. You want to build the credibility and you want to build the right people on the board. So I would say that it's very exciting to be part of or be a board member, because it does give you opportunity to look into how that particular organization is being run. You bring your own qualities, you bring your own capabilities and your experience as a board member, and you get to interact with some phenomenal brains, I would say, phenomenal team members who are working with you on that particular board. So I would say, again, look into your passion, find where your heart is, and then try to start networking with people out there and see if there are friends and families who can connect you to the prior board members or existing board members, so that you get a little bit more out of it before you get into that board position.
Wonderful. Thanks, Minnie. You're the co-founder and CEO at Velmeni. What advice do you have for first-time CEOs? Any principles that you live by or words of wisdom that have helped you become successful?
So, Claire, I have to tell you the story. I've always jumped into a frying pan. Life has never been very smooth and simple for me. And every time I find myself in a frying pan, putting out the fire, that's what I've done in all my positions. So, getting onto a CEO role was very interesting. I actually learned being a CEO as a CEO. However, I got a very good advice from one of my mentor, is that first thing I should do is to really set up time with the other CEOs. And Silicon Valley was a great support system for me, because there were so many CEOs there that I actually took advantage, where I took 30 minutes into their calendar talking to them. Um, there is so much, and like, one thing I would say, just learning from them how they managed the journey, what were their challenges, how did they overcome their challenges. That was very important to know. What are the things that one should be careful or not be careful, it's always good to have a sounding board or mentors to be built, and eventually you will find who are the people you can really go and rely on. It's a lonely position, because there are a lot of things that comes on your shoulder, right? So somebody even advised me that I need to build a good support system, and which is so true. Whether it could be be a spouse or a friend or someone you feel very close, because it's actually a roller coaster ride. There are very, very good days, and there are not so good days, but you need to keep your calm, because it does get past, it will get over. So again, it needs a lot of reinventing. I had to really do soul searching. I don't think so I would have ever spent so much of time with myself as I have being a CEO. However, I also would recommend invest in your physical and mental health. Exercise, yoga, meditation, whatever makes you happy, makes you hiking, whatever gives you that time, me time, is super, super critical as a first time. Not even first time. I've talked to so many CEOs. Most of them do take time. They shut off from their email frenzies, and they do take time because they need time to think, and that is very important. You have to learn to delegate. If you try to take too much control, you're not building a great team. To build that culture is so important. The day one you step in, that's where the culture starts. What you are is what your company and what your company's culture is going to be. So that's what they say. You can eat culture for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So you have to pay very close attention. Your employees, they're your assets. That's where your company is, and especially a very small startup. You start with your first employee number one, and then it grows to employee number 5 and 10. These are the moments you basically sort of enjoy and celebrate every day. When you do even a small win, it's like a hooray moment for all of us. So the thing is, coming from very, very large organization where I was a team player to now managing a company where I have a team that I have to really look after, take care of them, and manage as a family is really amazing. However, I feel and I encourage more and more women to get into the CEO position because I just feel it is an experience. Being an entrepreneur teaches you so many skills. Especially you are the face of the company. So it is challenging, it is tough, but it's rewarding. And you have to have patience. Ultimately, things fall in place. And I think you become better in managing all these kind of tough situations. And it only makes you stretch and think and sort of like feel that, yes, we could do it.
That's inspiring and so helpful. So helpful, especially I'm glad you brought up balance and creating time to give yourself space to be able to then come back fully to the job and culture and delegating. Also, so much great information. Thanks, Minnie. What advice do you have for companies looking to implement effective women's empowerment programs?
So what I feel is, I've always believed in gender parity, and this is interesting. Velmeni, I am striving for gender parity right from day one. I have women on my advisory board. I just got a gender parity on my board, which is really good. I got invested by a lot of women's funds. I am super excited about that. I just feel that, you know, having a balance, and especially diversity balance, not just women, but diversity of minds is very important. I've worked with people with different mindsets, and I've seen the diverse team usually do a lot better. And I used to have that even in city, even at Uber, and also where I am, where I try to have different kind of people from different background. Now, what kind of support or a program that one can put in place? Obviously, I feel that there is if your culture is built in such a way that you understand everybody's needs, there is no special program that you need to put in place. Because if you understand, if women, for example, have a family, and let's say she needs, let's say, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is her family time, and after that and before time she's available, that should be built in part of your culture or part of your the way you operate, and that's it. Because the work will get it done. So the thing is, what I feel in this company, Velmeni, where everybody has their own needs and requirements, it should not be separate. However, we need to be respectful. We need to be very open about each other's requirements and be able to build it. Second is, you have to give a chance. You have to give proper encouragement, mentorship, being non-judgmental. Because as I have seen, women need a little bit more nurturing. Sometimes they need a little bit more encouragement. They need a little bit more time. Because once they are confident, they will perform. So what I feel that it should become it should be part of your culture. It should not be just having a program in place. Program in place happens only when things are not being done the right way. In my case, I feel it should be the way how we operate and how we do the business. And if it is all well understood with your employees, I think everybody can really coexist in a very, very seamless fashion. And I think the company can really do very well. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, it sounds like a very holistic approach that's filtering through the whole organization rather than just like a program. It's more of an approach. So thanks so much, Minnie. And then finally, what can we do as executive level women in the workplace to support the next generation of female leaders?
So, as Thai member or Thai board, we are constantly looking how to promote young women. For example, my team is very young women. I am always looking how to give or be a mentor for young women. I think encouragement, giving them right guidance, giving them a chance, also connecting them to the right folks is very key. And especially uh, encouraging them to be young CEOs. It's like that's where my charter at Thai is. Why not? 30 under 30. We do more 30 under 30, more 40s under 40s. And then giving them the right tools, guidance is very, very important. And I think that relationship that I have is really helping me in my company as well. I am very bold in hiring 24 years old and 25 years old, a very young talent, because A, they come with an energy, with some guidance, with some focus. I think they could be a very good workforce within your organization. So I just feel that they have different challenges. If they are taken care of, they can really be a long run an asset to a company. So as I said, for me, working at Uber, working at Core, working with Thai has given that open minded. It's not just only the experience of 15 years or 20 years. It definitely has a place, but having a balance between the experience and the energy, the freshness, the openness, I think both can coexist. So it's important that I think organizations should look into both the aspect and see where like where each category needs a little help, because no category is perfect. It's the balance that we try to achieve with different, I would say, different kind of levels of workforce and experiences that we have. So, as young women, definitely we would like them to be more supported, especially more supported. Especially, I would say, and I can see myself in initial time when I was starting as CEO, I had some amazing mentors who really helped me so much that I don't think so I could have been where I am without their help. So it's always, they say, right, there's a successful woman behind a, so there's a woman behind a successful man. I must say I have many men behind me to help me to where I am. So I must say that my message to the young women: please surround yourself to mentors who can really guide you. Look for sponsors. Sponsors are very important too. People who can speak when you're not in the room, who can take you to places. It's very important. And I have been very privileged and fortunate, right from city to Core to Uber. I've had various mentors, and I still continue to build my mentors as I go along, because different people can help in different ways, and you'll be astonished how easy they can make things for you, and it's just one conversation that can just change your mind and thinking. So that's where I would sort of guide our young women to really look and be open and network. LinkedIn is another great way of networking with people. Join other women forums, look for other board positions, look for other CEOs. And I'm sure a lot of CEOs are very open. They're open to even meet for 15, 20 minutes, because even they're looking to meet other people too. So don't think that the CEOs don't want to meet you. They're open. And I, on my weekends, I actually do a lot of virtual coffee chats. I'm always talking to people on the weekends. So yeah, take time and talk to people.
Thank you so much, Minnie. I mean, and thank you for giving us such a fresh perspective and opening, our minds to all of these different approaches and techniques. And yeah, we really appreciate your time and guidance and expertise for International Women's Day.
And happy International Day to you, Claire. And hope this was a great session, and I really enjoyed every bit of it. And we wish the same to all our women leaderships and women entrepreneurs and all the striving women. A very happy International Women's Day.